Many moons ago, there was a great American philosopher from the People's Republic of California. After several years of indoctrination in the small town of Berkeley, he traversed across the country in search of a better life. He ends up settling in the small Midwestern town of Green Bay, Wisconsin. Several years into his new life, he noticed that the townspeople in Green Bay were in a full-blown panic. The local barbarians known as the Packers, they were off to a rough start to the gladiator season. They were humiliated in the first week of the season by the Birds of the Sea from Seattle. 2 weeks later, they were embarrassed by the Cowardly Lions from Detroit. The townspeople, they were outraged. They were tired of watching their barbarians be overmatched. They were overly concerned that their barbarians didn't have the strength to defend the fort over the next 13 weeks. After their loss to the Cowardly Lions, the leader of the barbarians and the great American philosopher Aaron Rodgers, he organized a meeting so he could address the concerns of the citizens. People traveled for miles. The elites, they were chauffeured by horse and carriage, while the less fortunate, they utilized the method of transportation that is preferred by poor people and those concerned for the environment, feet. As thousands of citizens gathered in the town square, you could feel the tension. With winter on the horizon and the barbarians unable to protect the town from those dastardly freebooters, citizens, they were concerned that there would not be enough food to last through the winter. The volume was rising amongst the crowd as the townspeople shared their fears with each other. Then all of a sudden, a calm silence came over the crowd as their leader arrived on stage wearing his customary top hat. The great philosopher Aaron Rodgers, he stepped up to the podium and he spelled one word. Now, to this day, historians debate the word that Aaron Rodgers spelled that day. Historians at Woke U, they claim that he spelled LGBT. But most historians agree that the word Aaron Rodgers spelled that day was R-E-L-A-X. Relax. Aaron Rodgers told the townspeople of Green Bay to relax. The Packers, they ended up finishing the season on an 11-2 run, winning the NFC North Division, being one win away from the Super Bowl. As I was observing the panic throughout the mainstream media this week, I was reminded of the words, or in this case, the word that Aaron Rodgers spoke over 10 years ago. This past Wednesday, a day that Donnie Trump described as Liberation Day, or the liberation of America, the Trumper fulfilled a campaign promise by implementing tariffs on foreign countries. The uncertainty caused the stock market to crash. The Dow's down around 2,000 points. NASDAQ, S&P 500, they lost approximately 10% of its value in the span of a couple of days. Billions, maybe even trillions of dollars have been lost. Since deacons at Woke United Methodist never let a good crisis go to waste, they have instructed their pretend friends in the mainstream media to incite fear. Some doofus named James Cramer, who hosts a show on something called CNBC. The network should be called Can't See NBC because no one watches this dump. Since no one is watching CNBC, James Cramer decided to make an appearance on CNN. Just think about that for a second. Since no one is watching your network, you felt the need to make an appearance on another network that no one is watching. Anyway, Jim Cramer appeared on CNN where he unleashed a tirade against the Trumper. I've been duped! I drank the orange juice and he fooled me! The orange man is tanking the economy! America is doomed! Someone please save us! The reaction from James Cramer, the reaction from the woke media, that is to be expected. I expect the mainstream media to over-exaggerate. I expect the media to over-dramatize the situation. What I did not expect is the overreaction from some in conservative media. More specifically, I didn't expect the overreaction from someone as intelligent as Ben Shapiro. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. Yesterday on the second channel, talked about NIL potentially ruining March Madness. There are many who believe that the March Madness that we grew up watching, it's on the verge of extinction. It's kind of tough to believe that right now after the amazing performances by all four teams last night in the Final Four. But if I am being honest, guys like Jim Nance, Dan Patrick, they do have a point. Paying players is definitely having an impact on college basketball. Whether it's positive or negative, that remains to be seen. We discussed it, though, yesterday on the second channel, so if you haven't already, click the link in the description below and subscribe. Now, full transparency here. Uncle Casey doesn't know shit about tariffs. The reason I haven't talked about this until now is because I don't like talking about things I know nothing about. I know what a tariff is, but I don't know how sweeping tariffs impact the economy. Like my good friend George Bush, like my good friend Georgie, Uncle Casey is no economer. When I invest, I rely on people who actually know what the hell they're talking about to invest my money. But here is one thing I do know. Anytime the mainstream media is pretending to be outraged, anytime the mainstream media is pretending to be terrified, I am inclined to believe the complete opposite. When the media was worshiping Aunt Fauci, I was worshiping the real God. When the media was so terrified of the COVID that they were afraid to go outside, they were afraid to socialize with the people that they paid to be their friends, I was outside playing golf and going to happy hour every night. And the seats at the bar, they were not 6 feet apart. Throughout the week this week, as the media has pretended to be terrified of tariffs, I have taken the opposite approach. I'm willing to be patient. I am willing to give Donnie the benefit of the doubt. I'm willing to wait and see if his plan works. I'm confused as to where the outrage is coming from. It's not like these tariffs were a surprise. The Trumpers been telling us for years this was the plan. Not only that, Donnie also told us that things were going to get worse before they got better. Like I said, I expected this overreaction from the woke media. What I did not expect was the overreaction from Ben Shapiro. Earlier this week, Ben Shapiro, he unleashed a tirade because the Trumper had the audacity to do exactly what he said he was going to do. Watch for yourself.
His giant tariff policy that he just dropped on the market unilaterally, probably unconstitutionally. Trump's reciprocal tariffs impose hundreds of billions of dollars in new taxes on Americans, be the largest tax increase since the Revenue Act of 1968. One of the biggest tax increases on American consumers in the history of America. And it's going to cost American consumers. It will cost American producers who use inputs from other countries. Trade wars are, in fact, not good and not easy to win, particularly if you don't actually have a plan. It is predicated on a bad idea of how international trade works. A fundamental misunderstanding of trade deficits. Trade deficits they're an accounting procedure. Trade deficits have pretty much nothing to do with the health of an economy.
Okay, so according to Ben Shapiro, tariffs are nothing more than an accounting procedure. Trade deficits, that's an accounting procedure, and they have nothing to do with the health of an economy. Okay, let me ask you this. If tariffs are an accounting procedure, if trade deficits have nothing to do with the health of an economy, then how come every other country implements tariffs on us? If it essentially doesn't matter, how come all these other countries are doing it to us? Look, Ben Shapiro's a smart dude. I don't expect Ben Shapiro, or anyone for that matter, to blindly agree with everything that the Trumper is doing. What I do expect is to not get caught up in the media hysteria. I don't give a shit about the mainstream media and their reaction to tariffs. You know the reactions I care about? I care about the reactions of other countries. Uncle Casey did some research late this week. I wanted to know how other countries reacted to Donnie's tariffs. Did they overreact like the mainstream media and throw a temper tantrum, or did they react logically? I'll give you the information and you can decide. Vietnam has a 90% tariff on American products entering their country. 90%. So I guess if something cost $100, it now costs $190. The reality is, it cost people in Vietnam nothing to buy American products because they don't have them. The tariffs essentially price American products out of the market. After the Trumper imposed tariffs on Vietnam, all of a sudden, they're ready to negotiate. Hey, King, it's me, Tom from Vietnam. I have decided to eliminate tariffs on American-made products. Can we be friends? Vietnam wasn't the only country that suddenly dropped tariffs to zero. Argentina did the same thing. South Korea, Japan, other countries in Europe, they're suddenly interested in discussing tariffs. I wonder why. Like I said, I'm no economer. I don't know if the Trumpers' plan is going to work. It could be an unmitigated disaster. What I do know is, it's going to take more than 48 hours to determine if this plan is viable. And I'm saying this as someone who is directly affected by this. The stock market crashing, that is no bueno for Uncle KC. Not because of my investments. I ain't worried about that. I only check them once a quarter for this very reason. But when the market crashes, when the economy is volatile, when there is this heightened level of uncertainty, the first thing companies eliminate is their advertising budget. How do I get paid? Ad dollars. YouTube is volatile right now because the economy is volatile. But I'm willing to give it time. I am willing to see if something different will work. We did not get to this point in 48 hours. Manufacturing jobs, made in China products dominating store shelves, that didn't happen over 2 days. It happened over a span of decades. So instead of overreacting, instead of believing the panic in the mainstream media, why don't we listen to the advice from the great philosopher Aaron Rodgers and relax? Give me your thoughts on this. What do you guys think of the tariffs? Is this a good plan from the Trumper? Or do you believe the media and think this is going to destroy the economy? Also, what do you think of the reaction from Ben Shapiro? I was surprised. I did not expect Ben Shapiro to be on the same side as the woke media. But you tell me. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.